Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Security IQ. It's Elisa Mueller here. Say hello, Min.
Hi, folks. This is Min. We're going to have fun today.
And we are back with Paul Ragusa. Paul, say hello.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back.
And tell us again, just for anyone who is not familiar with security systems news, tell them again what you do.
Oh, sure. Yes, I'm the editor going on 5 years now for Security Systems News, and we are an industry publication that covers everything security from all the different angles. So definitely go and check us out, securitysystemsnews.com.
Excellent. And you really are probably the best person to talk about this next topic. There's so much information out there in the media today, social media, mainstream media, whatever it is, there's so much information. And you start to get really inundated with all different talking points, and it gets very confusing. Talk to us a little bit about what discernment means for you from the other side of the table.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much information out there today, right? So how do we decipher all that? And there's a funny saying. It's like, there's three sides to every story. They say,
Three.
your side, my side, and then somewhere in there's
How's the side?
Yeah, the truth is the third side of that story. So I think we're all seeking the truth. But there's just so much information being thrown at us. So how do you vet that? What are your sources? Where are you getting your news and your information? I remember when I was in grad school, there was a whole class on this. How do you vet your sources? How do you, know your sources? Don't get all your information from one source, and make sure you're vetting that source. And so it's really incumbent upon us now, and it's really asking a lot of people to try to decipher all this. Just look at how crazy fake news can get. For example, I don't know if this is a phenomenon just in the U.S., but like the fake death announcement phenomenon.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's global. Because I read all the languages. It's everywhere.
Yeah, to me that's just insane. It's like, someone says, Johnny's died, and everyone's like, oh my God, Johnny's died. And then Johnny's like, no, I haven't died. He's actually
great if I have a headline that says Min's dead, and Lisa calls me, Min, are you dead? I'm like, no, I'm not dead. I'm talking to you from the other side.
I know. It's just crazy. I mean, that's how where we've come, where the person actually has to come on and say, hey, you know what?
So what do you attribute that to? Do you think it's because of the sudden rise in social media, that there's so much additional information out there and you can't really, and I'm not going to say it's all social media. That's wrong, because we do start to see it creep into some of the more mainstream, more commonly watched publications or read publications, that just because it's stamped with a particular logo or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that that particular journalist did the proper vetting, like you were talking about. Do you think we've gotten away from teaching journalists how to properly vet? Why is this happening?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's just too many people producing information. It's become another big problem for me is the whole clickbait society,
Yes.
where like, who's going to be the first to get the story up, irregardless if it's truth or not. And then also the need to kind of create headlines that often don't represent what's in the story. So that drives me insane. So you click on a headline and then you read the story and say, wow, that was such a misleading headline. It's classic clickbait. So people start to lose their trust in journalism, and unfortunately, to me, that's a slippery slope, because journalism and just historically, our role is just, I think, is critically important, shining a light on injustice, to to be the eyes and ears for the public, for in a democratic society. I mean, especially the way we're living today, in pretty much a capitalist society where everything's kind of driven by the bottom line. I think it's important to have journalists kind of trying to give an objective perspective on things. But I can understand why they're being vilified, because there's just so much information being put out there, and it's from sources that are sometimes just trying to push an agenda, people that are very subjective and they're trying to get a certain, information out there to people. And I know, the search engines are trying to do their job. Like Google, I know they're using AI to try to search out. Social media is trying to search out fake news stories,
It's hard,
which, I mean, it's admirable that
harder
they're
and
trying to
harder,
do this, but it's, like you said, it's getting harder and harder, and it also becomes a subjective, so what do you censor, and then how do they decipher what's fake news? And
So what do you recommend users when they're reading the news? How do you decipher? Like, if I'm a typical user, but what do I look for in an article? From Wall Street Journal, New York Times, whatever you want, whatever article you want to. How do we say if this is legitimate or not legitimate? How do we validate that this is coming from real sources?
Well, yeah, right. First, I would see who the author is. If you could find any credentials on the author, and typically, if it's a legitimate writer, there's going to be quite a bit. You could probably find a bio on them. See who they write for, and then I would not just take one source as my almighty, information. I would go and look at multiple sources and see how they're covering it, what angle they're taking on the story. Maybe it's a different angle, and suddenly that opens up a whole nother can of worms. My original source wasn't correct. I need to go and really look at this a little closer now. And then if you're constantly looking at, just, we're not going to get political here, but if you're constantly reading left news, go and see what the right's saying. Go and see what the middle's saying. Go and see what people who aren't political are saying. So I think it's important to kind of look at it from all different angles.
You know what? That's the best advice that I've heard so far. It's anyone who's saying, oh, take our word for it, or you can only rely on this type of source or that type of source.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Well, at the end of the day, right? Journalists are people. Do they make mistakes? Of course they do. So to your point, you have to look at everything. You have to take in all of the information, even the bad stuff that sounds just way off, because there might be a little grain of truth in there somewhere, and putting the bigger picture together will help it make sense, right? So I think that is probably the best advice I've heard yet on this topic is take everything in, really evaluate. You have to discernment really is a personal responsibility. If you if you blindly follow somebody down a path, you can't blame them. You have to do your own homework, right?
Yeah. And I think a good example of this, I always think back to this because it took me a minute to even realize and understand what was going on. There's a novel by Faulkner called I think it's called The Sound and the Fury, but it's a novel where we were talking about perspectives on things and how you really can't trust one single perspective, but that he tells the story from eight or nine or different perspectives. So each chapter is another person telling you the story.
That's interesting.
So, and you get a different take on it each chapter, so you don't know who to believe. But in the end, you get the full picture, because after you see it from all the different perspectives, the story, the truth becomes clear. But to me, that kind of sums everything up, because I thought that was just a brilliant way to look at writing a story, to kind of have 9 different people tell the story from their perspectives, and then somewhere in
that's great.
The author must be phenomenal, putting himself in different perspectives.
Yeah, he was an award-winning novel. Yeah, William Faulkner.
Yep.
So I have some interesting things that we're going to test Paul then.
Oh no.
Come on. That we're going to lead into now. And, Elisa, you should be playing with this too.
I know. And I didn't prepare a single thing for this game.
I did. So
I can be the game show host. Okay. All right. We need some background music.
I have a few.
I was going to say, if Elisa can guess with Paul, let's see who's right.
Well, maybe I'll play too. Okay. We'll see who wins. I'll be the other contestant.
There we go.
Perfect. So who's going to do the scorekeeping? I'm going to do this right now.
Okay.
I can honestly scorekeep. Okay, so let's explain this for the audience.
Yeah.
We're calling this
truth
or false.
Yeah, truth or
real or fake news.
Real or fake news.
Real or creative name for a game show.
Yeah, real or fake.
So Min is gonna read off a couple of headlines, right?
I'm gonna read a bunch of headlines, and I'm gonna say, once I read off one headline, I'm gonna look at both of you and say real or fake.
Okay.
All right. And then we'll tally it up.
I'm ready.
All right. So let's start. First one. And I'm keep in mind, I am staying away from politics for specific reasons. So
Thank you.
there may be a few here and there that may seem a little off, but that's okay. Merck halts development of coronavirus vaccines. Real or fake?
I'll say real.
I say fake.
Okay, well, final answer? Elisa's right, it's fake. Come on,
There you
Paul!
go, Lisa.
I was waiting for you. All right, next one. Breathing oxygen linked to staying alive. I'm sorry. I had to put these had a headline.
Real.
That sounds so ridiculous. I have to say fake.
No, it's real, Paul. Come on.
Who can write a headline like that? That's insane.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
Daddy, I'm hungry, says 27-year-old barging into the background of father's video conference. I know. I find the most ridiculous. I told you my mind.
That's a long headline.
Real fake.
Oh, man.
I told you I was going to find ridiculous ones just to test you.
What do you say, Paul?
Oh, you go first this time.
Say it one more time out loud.
Daddy, I'm hungry, says 27-year-old busting into the background of father's video conference.
Real.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Real.
No, it's fake.
I'm 0 for 3. Yes.
All right. Next one. God, Paul, I'm rooting for you here.
Yeah,
you gotta,
I know. This
you
is
gotta,
bad.
you gotta. Student gets excited when dad got head job.
Oh, no.
Did I not say I was gonna find you the worst?
Do we get a pass? Do I get a pass?
Mean?
You don't know what that means?
I mean,
go put your head in a gutter.
But I would, whatever. All right.
Student got excited that dad got head job.
Okay. I'm gonna
Look at
say
False.
face.
I'm going to say false. Oh, my God. I'm praying
right.
it's false.
I'm praying.
Are you
false.
serious, Paul?
Just because he said false, I'll say true.
I'll go back to true. I'm going to say it's true now.
Oh, come on.
Because every time I'm wrong, I might as well just switch my answers now.
It's true.
Stanza style.
It's
Yes.
true. All right.
True.
All right. So
This
I'm
was
giving
my-
us both a point
It's
on
Thank you.
that.
Okay. Next one. Home invader got beaten up by 82-year-old bodybuilding grandma in what may be the year's funniest news story.
False.
That sounds true, actually. I like that story.
That's true.
Oh, he's on
That one's a
the
real
roll
one.
now.
Yeah, I remember.
On the
reading
Paul's
the
making a
story.
comeback.
All right, Paul, you're doing pretty good here.
I'm
All
just
right.
going with the opposite of what I've written initially. It's working.
All right, here's the next one. CDC announces country on track to chuck 1 million expired vaccines per day.
Wait, say that one more time.
CDC announces country on track to chuck 1 million expired vaccines per day.
Wow. That's
I'll
a lot
say
of vaccines.
That's a hard one. I know it sounds.
Yeah.
It sounds legitimate.
I know some are being thrown out. That's why it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say false. That seems like a large number.
Okay, Elisa.
I want to say false, but because Paul is saying
Yeah.
false, I'm going to say true.
You guys are so wrong.
No, I like that strategy. That's good.
All right, Paul is right. It is fake.
There you go. We're tied now.
All right,
All
here
right,
we
so
go.
what's the score right now?
The deciding one here. Here we go.
All right, so we're tied here.
We're
Yeah,
tied. So this is going to be the
3-3.
tiebreaker.
All right.
Damn it. All right, let me see. I have a bunch in here. I'm trying to find a worse one, but also the right one. All right. Miracle cure kills 5th patient.
Ooh, that's a good one. Miracle cure kills 5th patient.
That's the title.
I'm going to say false.
I know. Well, if I agree with you, then we have to continue on. Because
So
I
you're
kind of
trying to break the tie.
no, I know. I feel like that's false too. That's a weird one. Yeah, I'm gonna go false.
You both disappointed me. That's a real story from the Associated Press.
Oh my God. All right.
All right.
One more tiebreaker.
All right. This is
Sudden death. Let's do it.
All right,
sudden
tiebreaker.
death.
All right, I'm debating between. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. Forecasters call for weather on Monday. I know it's oxymoronic, but
True.
I agree with you though. So
I
what do we
hate you,
do?
Paul. I really hate you.
All right, so I'll
You're
go
not supposed
false.
to
All
agree.
right, I'll go false since
No,
you said true.
easy. It's actually a true article from the Pittsburgh
Okay.
Post-Gazette.
Nice.
All right, listen, Paul.
Yeah, that was fun.
I will allow you a rematch in the next
Thank
segment.
you. Okay.
Yeah, but guess what? I'm gonna find the worst perverted. I'm sorry, guys. My mind's always in a gutter. Worst headlines, and I'm gonna look in your face after I read it with a straight face.
Until then, I remain the discernment champion.
Yes.
There you go,
are.
Lisa. I'm proud of you.
I bow to your prowess.
Paul, thank you so much for joining.
Thank
This
you.
was actually a really good segment, and I think a really important topic that we need
Yes.
to continue to
Yes,
talk about.
We do.
With everything that's going on in the world, everyone really needs to wake up and not just blindly follow whatever it is they're reading
Agreed.
on the current
Mhm,
headlines.
We could all
So,
agree on that.
Well, we
Yeah.
already saw here a journalist is getting. I'm teasing Paul.
listen, to his point,
Yeah, I
there's
know you
just-
could fool anyone.
there's just too much crazy info out there. So
Mhm.
to his point, he's right. He just proved
Yeah.
his point.
And this is why we
But-
play this game.
Yeah. But thank you everyone for joining us, and we will be back with Paul. Stay tuned for the next Security IQ. Say goodbye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.